All right. So once again, good morning class. Sige, thank you. So let's proceed. I hope para ng mga tanom sa luyo ninyo. And before we proceed, let's just have a recap. Yesterday we have discussed the different tissue of the plants. We have the dermal tissue. Wala na siyang nag-cover sa aton nga plants. We have the vascular tissue, which consists of our xylem and phloem. Wala na siyang flow ang water and ang aton nga sugar. We also have the ground tissue, which is made up of the bulk ng plant. Nga dira ang natatabang metabolism, storage, and structure. And lastly, we have the meristematic tissue nga in charge mag-grow aton nga plants. So for today, as a continuation, ma-proceed na kita sa aton nga plant organs. Okay, so i-connect ang kahapon. Kaya from tissue, we have now the organs. So, organs are tissues that act together to serve a specific function. In plants, just like in animals, similar cells work together to form a tissue. When different types of tissues work together to perform a unique function, they form an organ. Organs working together form organ system. Okay? So first, by looking at the photo class, we have two types of system. Okay? Vascular plants have two distinct organ system, a shoot system and a root system. It is divided by the land, the soil. The shoot system consists of two portions, the vegetative, non-productive parts of the plant such as the leaves and the stems, and the reproductive parts of the plant which include flowers and fruits. The shoot system generally grows above ground, where it absorbs the light needed for photosynthesis. The root system, which supports the plants and absorbs water and minerals, is usually underground. Simple as that, class, ha? Next. Okay. So, ambot kung kita nyo ang gamay nga plant. Okay. So, ang aton nga plant class, na-divide na siya sa roots, sa stems, kag sa leaves. So, amo na siyang important organs nga i-discuss naton for this morning. Sa roots, it is the anchorage, water, nutrient absorption from soil, storage, water, nutrient transport. Amo nang purpose ng aton nga roots. When it comes naman sa stems, it is a support sa plant, water, nutrient transport man. And for the leaves, it is where photosynthesis and food production happen. Okay? Now, let's go sa first organ sang aton nga Okay, sa first organ sang aton nga plant, we have the shoot. Okay? We have the shoot. Shoot class, technically, are tissues to which cotyledons are attached. Cotyledons are first set of leaves after germinating from seed. So, sila pinakauna nga first set of leaves. So, kung na-remember nyo to sa aton multiple choice, do sala to kay we answered seed, but the answer should be shoots. Okay? Please remember. Ang aton nga shoot, we have stem. Stem where leaves are attached is called a node. In between the area is called an internode. So, kung lang tawon nyo dira class ang aton nga image, okay? Kung diin nagatubo ang leaves, node ang tawag sina nga parts ng stem. Kung ano naman ang tunga niya, diba tong hambal ko nga lateral meristems, it is the internode. So, tandaan nyo lang inter, sulod, in between. Paghambal naman natin class nga axillary buds, sa word class nga axillary, okay? Mangita tati photo. Ari class na axillary buds, kita nyo, ang dogamay na nga cute na dahon sa nodes. Paghambal nga axillary, axilla, di ba? Ilok, kilikili. So, ara siya sa ilok sang tanom. Axillary buds develop above petiole at point of attachment to stem, are usually dormant but can sprout and make new leaves if one old is injured. Do kuan siya class, do back up nga ko ang dahon mautod, example ba ang malunggay ginutod mo or kung ano pa dang ginutod mga dahon, amo na siya ang axillary bud ang matubo class. So do back up na siya dira. Cute na. Wala lang. Next ang pith. Innermost portion of a stem, usually surrounded by undifferentiated cells called cortex. Ang pith, hindi ni makita sa gwa sang aton nga plant. So, if you look at the image, ara ang pith class ho, siya ang pinaka-center sang aton nga stem or sang aton nga plant. Okay? Ginapalibutan na siya sang cortex. Cortex amo na aton parenchymal cells. Next, vascular tissues. Aware na ta sining vascular tissues yesterday, the phloem and the xylem. Okay? Each group of vascular tissues is known as vascular bundle. In dicots, bundles are scattered about the periphery of the stem. In monocots, they are scattered throughout the stem cross-section. So, moreover, if you look at the photo, okay, familiarize tali what class hang yesterday. So, ara ang phloem, ang xylem, ang sclerenchyma, familiar yesterday, the fiber cells, ang nagaprotect sa phloem kag xylem, ay hindi ang pinakadamol gigali. Okay? Ara siya sa kilid gid sang stem. We have epidermis, we have the vascular bundle, ray of ground tissue connecting pith to cortex, pith ang sa tunga class, cortex, okay, sa cortex ara dang parang parenchymal cell, and lantawan ta naman sa right side, we have the ground tissue, and then we have the, okay, that's the difference gali class between the dicot plant and the monocot. So sa monocot, it's just the ground tissue, the epidermis, and the vascular bundles. Okay? Medyo mahina ang monocot naton. So we're done class sa stem. Now let's proceed sa leaves. Any question before we proceed? Am I too fast? Nakuha nyo man? Sorry. It's my way of, kung ginakatula akong throat, gusto ko siya karoton, I produce a vibrating sound sa akong throat para makarot siya. I don't know. No, naturally na lang na ako na-discover. Okay, so wala man nag-respond. I'm gonna proceed. So, for the leaves, it is a light-capturing organ class. Yan ang gasaw sa sanag sang adlaw. In some plants, such as cacti and euphorbias, leaves have been lost or dropped during droughts, and stem does photosynthesis. Okay? Most cells in leaf are parenchyma cells. So, na-remember niyo yung parenchymal cells yesterday, class? Diba? Ano siya pinakauna nga? Ground tissue cell, ang parenchymal cell. Okay, dira na sa halos git ang mga organelles makita. So, more likely complete ina siya compare sa other nga ground tissue cell. Cells except vascular cells. Leaves grow from marginal meristems at the edge of the leaves. Okay? Marginal or ano tong aton intercortex. In grasses, the meristem is basal. Take note, class, ang meristem, di ba, amo na siya ang part nga immature ang mga cell, nga dira nagatabo ang mitosis. So, ang different ko no class sa grass, instead nga sa tip ko no ang meristem, makita, ara siya sa base. Okay? Thus, tip of leaf is oldest part of the leaf. So, ang grass natin magtubo, ang pinakababaw na niya, amo na pinaka-old. This is why if you mow grass, it can grow. Okay? So, amo na siya ang aton nga grass. Muna nalata nyo kung utdon ang grass kasi nagatubo gyapon. Okay, syempre padayon to yagatubo ang meristem sa dalom niya sa base niya. So, leaf blade, flattened portion that does most of the photosynthesis and transpiration. Three major cell types in leaf blade. We have the epidermis on top and bottom of leaf, contains stomata. Aware comes sa stomata, ang sa guard cell naton. And we have palisade mesophyll. upper layer of photosynthetic cells just below epidermis. So, gaanta kamo sinasang naming illustration. Ara kung tulukon nyo, we have the palisade mesophyll and the spongy mesophyll. Okay? So, muna nga mas madamol ang panit sang dahon sa babaw kasi sa dalom. And take note, kita nyo yung cuticle. Ang cuticle sa babaw, muna siyang covering sang leaves. And also, ang mga guard cell sa dalom, ang stoma, ara sila sa dalom sang leaves. Okay? So, in sun leaves, there may be 2 layers. In shade leaves, just 1. Cells shaped like slender columns, tightly packed together, few air spaces. Pagkabot naman sa spongy mesophyll, lower layer of photosynthetic cells, below the palisade cell layer. Cells are regularly shaped, widely spaced, with lots of air space in between. So now let's go to petiole, stem-like structure that attaches leaf to stem. Okay, mabalik ta sa photo ta, that's the petiole. Stipules naman class, small leaf-like structure on either side of the petiole where it attaches to the stem. Okay, stipule. And that's it for the leaf. Now let's proceed sa atong roots class. Any question before we proceed sa roots? Thank you for responding. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, so roots na inahang cross-section. So, below ground usually, but in some plants, roots can be above ground. Okay, ang mga orchid, yala roots sa babaw duta, di ba? From the outside in, you encounter the following layers. So, guwa pasulod, we have the epidermis with root hairs and root cap covering root tip. Second, we have the cortex. Okay. Next, we have the endodermis with Casparian strip, and then we have the pericycle, and then we have the stele with the innermost area of the root, xylem and phloem, and then the stele in the innermost area of root and contains xylem and phloem as well. So, details sa each layer class. Paghambal taton sa epidermis, automatically aware naman kita nga that is the outer layer gid. Gahelp siya sa absorption of water and nutrients. Root cap is a set of cells that protects the root apical meristem. Remember nyo yesterday, ang sa tissue naton, ang apical meristem, ara siya sa shoot, kag sa root tip. So, amo na siya ang root cap, amo na siyang kalo, sang apical meristem. Siyempre, baby na ang mga tissues. Next, we have the cortex. It is large, undifferentiated cell that separate the stele from the epidermis, mainly for support and movement of water and nutrients to the endodermis. Since water moves along the path of least resistance, most of it flows along the cortical cell walls rather than passing through the cortical cell cytoplasm, which would really slow the flow down. So, cortex is also known as the parenchymal cells. Okay? Or ara na lang parenchymal cells. Next is endodermis. So, epidermis, sagwa, endodermis sa sulod. Inner layer of cell that contains a subbrised layer called the Casparian strip. Casparian strip makes the cell walls impermeable to water flow. So, prevent siya sang water. So, water materials coming into the root through the cortex have to pass across the cell membrane of the endodermis. It is at this layer in the cell that the root regulates the uptake of nutrients into the cell. Pericycle. This layer of meristematic cells can give rise to lateral roots. The new roots actually grow horizontally through the endodermis, cortex, and out of the epidermis until they break through into the soil. So, stele, xylem, and phloem located here. Sa stele makita Sa stele makita ang xylem and phloem. Xylem is central most in the root cross-section. Phloem tends to be nestled in arcs between the arms of xylem. So, xylem yung pinaka-main water, ang phloem nag-attach lang sa kilid. So, that's it class for the organs of the plants. We have the roots, the stem, the shoot, and the leaves. Now, let's go sa plant physiology. Dili ta mabalaan class kung paano na-absorb ang water, also ang sugar, kag paano siya na-distribute sa parts sang plant. Are you excited to know? Are you excited to know? Sige. So, magpakita ko illustration. Ara. Water and ion transport pathway. Water is needed in leaves but available only in soil. Water and ion uptake occur at the root hairs and the rest of the root epidermis. Water and ions move in the cells and the interior spaces of the root cortex. The Casparian bands in the endodermis, the innermost layer of the cortex, function as an impermeable barrier which allows the endodermis to selectively absorb desirable ions, okay, like potassium, calcium, phosphorus, okay. The water and absorbed ions diffuse into the hollow water conducting cells, tracheids, and or vessels. Remember the tracheids? Okay, it is a type of tracheids and the vessel elements. Type na sila ng xylem. Okay, in the root xylem. The water and ions move up in the water conducting cells in the xylem, which mean many microscopic channels like straw connected end to end in all organs. So, dapat itong hambal ko balang aga connect ang fingers ko, ang tracheids, also ang aton nga vessel elements. So the water and ions move from xylem into the mesophyll of the leaf. The water not needed for metabolism or growth evaporates from the surface. Okay, so ang mga hindi kinahanglan na water through transpiration, gagawa sila sa stomata. Okay? How water moves up the plant. Hindi ko na ni pagbasahan sa module nyo, pero think of this, guys. Ang aton nga plant, di ba sa leaves, dira naga-evaporate ang aton nga water. So, through evaporation, ginahatak pababaw ang water. So, nagahulag ang water starting sa roots. So, amo na siya ang reason nga man ang water nagasulod sa aton nga roots kag magwa mapababaw makadto different parts sa aton nga plants. It is because of the sun's heat or evaporation. Okay? So, when it comes naman sa aton nga sugar, ang sugar naman naton class, di ba, through photosynthesis, through photosynthesis, ma-produce na nga glucose or sugar dito sa leaves naton. So, paano naman siya ma-transport sa iba na parts ng aton nga plant? It is through, okay, transfer of lower to higher concentration. So, syempre, grabe ang hulag sa aton nga water. What will happen sa aton nga glucose nga sa phloem, pagilid siya sa mga intercellular. Okay? Sugar diffuses from the mesophyll in the leaf to the phloem cells in the vascular bundles. Specialized cells called companion cells load the dissolved sugar, ang companion cells, if na-remember nyo, into the sugar-conducting cells called sieve elements. Kung na-remember nyo pang aton nga, sieve members na. So, since the high concentration of dissolved sugar dilutes the water in the interior spaces, with high water concentration around the vascular bundles into the sugar-conducting cells. Okay? So, from higher to lower. Amo na siyang tabo sa aton nga sugar para ma-transfer. So, this is osmotic water flow, generous hydraulic. So, osmosis. Okay? Water to water. So, that's it for our class today. We're done. Any question?